Well, we have a lot of things to do this morning. This is actually a working breakfast. We're going to jump right into the program. We have a lot of content to get out this morning, and it's going to happen in two parts. It's going to happen in this room, and it's going to happen in some breakout sessions, which I'll describe later. Thanks again for coming. My name is Scott Campbell. I'm one of the owners and the publisher of the Columbian newspaper and Columbian.com. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the Columbian's 2013 Clark County Economic Forecast Breakfast, presented by Riverview Community Bank. Thank you. This is actually not a commercial or necessarily a promotional event. This is actually a news event, and it's really a part of the news gathering and the news dissemination process that we do at the Columbian. So there'll be hopefully a lot of relevant and interesting content for you here today. The additional sponsors of this morning's breakfast are the Management Group, Berger Abam, and Schwabe Williamson and Wyatt Attorneys. And we have three support partners with the CRADC, the Vancouver Chamber of Commerce, and the City of Vancouver. Thank you so much for our fellow partners. Now, if you care to follow this event on Twitter, and I know you're all going to do that, you can go to the address on the screen, which is #Future13, and that will be a Twitter feed for this morning's event. We have a full schedule, and we're very excited to offer you a little bit of a new format this morning that includes a panel of regional business and economics experts. They'll share their perspectives on what's happening in the local economy, the unique opportunities and challenges in some of the business sectors here. And hey, it feels like for some sectors there's a little bit of an upswing going on. That's pretty good news, I think. Before we get started, though, I'd like to introduce some special guests here. And so I'd like to start by introducing, we have a couple of Columbian owners here. Jody Campbell, stand up, please. My son Ben Campbell is expected, and then there's me. And thank you. The two other owners of the Columbian are both in college, so we won't be introducing them this morning. But the Columbian is, for those of you who don't know us well, we are independent still. We are locally owned still. We will continue to be independent and locally owned. We're still having fun more days than not. And I owe a huge debt of gratitude to the amazing Columbian top management team and our people from frontline all the way through the organization. I'd like to introduce a few of those people now. Doug Ness, our Chief Financial Officer. Lou Brancaccio, the editor of the Columbian. Mark Daly, our Circulation and Production Director. Teresa Keplinger, our amazing Advertising Director. And our killer business team, Gordon Oliver, Cami Joner, and Aaron Corvin. Thank you so much, you guys. A lot of heroes in my world with getting the Columbian through the last 4 or 5 years. It's been very, very challenging, very engaging, not boring in the least. We're hoping for a little more fun in the future at the Columbian. But nevertheless, our folks have done an amazing job in getting us through. Kate Sakamoto deserves special recognition for putting this program together, the sponsorship piece of it. We do not actually have a perfect list of elected officials and and their representatives. Could I ask all of you who are present to stand for a minute so we can get a sense of who you are and where you are? Thank you very much. Thank you for coming. We want this event to be not only informative, we want it to be relevant to you and the tasks you have in your businesses. We want this to be somewhat interactive, so we invite you to use the cards on your table to write down questions you may have of our panel, and we will get them to them in a timely fashion. You can give it to our moderator. They'll be evident here. As you've already noticed, there are gifts at your table from our sponsors, as well as an advanced copy of the Columbian's 2013 Economic Forecast Report, which includes essays from the panelists, so you'll have a little time to study some of their thoughts on what's happening. The publication will also be in Sunday's newspaper, so you're getting an advanced preview of that. This program wouldn't happen without the support of the sponsors that so generously help support this function in many ways. And the big sponsor this year is Riverview Community Bank. Riverview is also locally owned and independent and has been serving Clark County since 1923. They have a long history of community involvement and investment. Last year, Riverview contributed over $200,000 in support of local health and children's services, and also in support of the arts, culture, and education. They've also announced they have $100 million available for loan this year. And joining us today is Kim Capilotto, President and CEO of the Kim Cap.
Sorry, Pat.
That's.
I was going to tell you a different venue.
That's old news. But Kim joined Riverview in 2010 as Executive Vice President overseeing marketing, operations, and information services and technology, previously with the Vancouver Chamber of Commerce. And Kim is a 25-year veteran of banking and has worked for both community banks and larger regional banks. Kim is Mr. Microphone in the community. He's got a lot of gigs going with community events, and he's good at it. He's also on the board of Identity Clark County, the School of Piano Technology for the Blind, Junior Achievement, Fort Vancouver National Historic Trust, and the Humane Society of Southwest Washington. He's also on several advisory boards and committees and has acted as MC, as I mentioned, for more than 40 community events over the last year. Let's give a round of applause for Riverview. Thank you very much, Riverview. Kim has a few words for us.
Thanks, Scott. Sorry, Pat. What's that? We were going to talk about the titles later, but it's all right. Today's probably going to be my last day now, so it doesn't really matter. Riverview is extremely happy to be involved with this this morning. Obviously, every year that this occurs, this room is packed with individuals that are wanting to get the pulse of the local economy, and obviously that is an important factor for all of us here in the business world and just as general citizens. We have, when the opportunity came up to sponsor this, we jumped at the chance. It's a great event. It's one that directly ties to our business, and it is one that we follow on a daily basis, as many of you do. We've been around since 1923. This is our 90th anniversary this year. And we intend to be around for another 90 years. I don't know that I'm going to get Pat to hang out for 90 more years, but we're going to give it a shot. And we are making sure that the impact that we make on this community is a vital impact. It's a consistent impact. Scott talked a little bit about the $100 million that we earmarked for special lending programs this last year. We are, and that is for new commitments, not the smoke and mirrors of renewals and all this other stuff. This is for new commitments. So far in the 6.5 months that we've been doing this, 7 months that we've been doing it, we have done $55 million in new commitments to this community. and we've got another $45 million to lend. So we will absolutely exceed the $100 million that we've set aside. And make no mistake, that's how banks make money. So we are eager to lend even more than the $100 million, but $100 million was a great starting point. So we appreciate your support. When I was thinking about things that I would want to talk about this morning, I looked at the calendar of events that Riverview has sponsored, been involved at, and attended, or we have board affiliations. Our employees are on or affiliated with more than 150 nonprofit organizations in the markets that we serve. And one of the things that is critical in an environment like this, in communities like this, is commitment. And when we say we're going to do something, we mean it. We don't back away from our commitments, no matter how painful they are. Sometimes, for example, the Columbian prints things that I might not be super ecstatic about. And yet, I would like to point out that when they print things that are positive about our organization, they are spot on. So we recognize that not everyone in all the venues and all the organizations can support everything unilaterally as we believe it should be done. If I had that type of a belief that I should and would only support things where they unilaterally believe what we believe as an organization, then maybe we wouldn't sponsor anything, because every organization is going to have differences of opinions, and you don't back away from your commitments. You will not see Riverview Community Bank back away from a commitment that it has made, and that is something that we are very proud of. Our word is our bond. When we say something, we mean it, and we will stand behind it, whether it's painful or not. And that is what being a true community partner is all about. Our bank does a lot, and I'm extremely pleased to be associated with it, and we are very, very happy. And Scott Miller I would be remiss if I didn't use the word ecstatic at least once in this. He says that's my favorite word when I'm up at the podium. So we are ecstatic to be here this morning and to be a vibrant part of this community. That's for you, Scott. You're welcome. So now I'd like to do some introductions. It's my privilege to introduce to you Betsy Henning, the president of AHA, and today's keynote panel moderator. Betsy is the president of AHA, which is a marketing communications firm located in downtown Vancouver. And for almost 20 years, AHA has been helping clients develop compelling stories and deepen engagements with their customers. I've known Betsy for quite some time. She is a dynamo. She does a great job. AHA is a great organization and one that truly has made an impact on the clients that they serve. It's one of the largest creative services firms and one of the largest women-owned businesses in the greater Portland area. It was yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Women-owned businesses. Yeah. Feel free to interrupt with the applause. It's no problem. Anyways. They also were recognized as one of Inc. magazine's 5,000 fastest growing companies in 2011. Their clients include Charles Schwab, HP, PricewaterhouseCoopers, Tiffany & Company, Comcast, and NBC Universal. Betsy's an expert communications strategist specializing in business development and brand marketing. She consults clients from Fortune 100 clients to startups on strategic communication, integrated messaging, and brand, voice, tone, and manner. She holds a degree in journalism from Northwest University. She's chairperson of the Oregon Creative Services Alliance and is on the board of the Greater Portland Incorporated and the Columbia Land Trust. She's a frequent guest speaker on entrepreneurship, creative communications, and storytelling for business. And that is a brief part of Betsy's bio. Our first panelist today is Tom Potowski. And he is the former director of Oregon's Office of Economic Analysis and current chair of the Department of Economics at Portland State University and director of the newly formed Northwest Institute of Applied Economic Research. Can you imagine how long that guy's business card is? I mean, that's an unbelievable title. In his former position, he was responsible for developing and disseminating quarterly state economic and demographic forecasts and estimating the general fund revenue for the state of Oregon. That would have been a challenge. The forecasts were used to develop both the governor's budget and the legislatively approved budget. Dr. Potowski received a PhD in economics from the University of Colorado in 1981 and a BBA degree in economics from Ohio University in 1975. When he graduated from the University of Colorado, he was an assistant professor at the university before moving to Portland State University in '83. Tom was appointed as acting state economist on February 1st, 1999, and state economist on August 1st of 1999, serving through September of 2006. Dr. Potowski is a member of the American Economics Association, the Western Economic Association, and the National Association for Business Economics. He also serves on the board of the Oregon Council on Economic Education and the Oregon Progress Board. Tom was a member of the Governor's Council of Economic Advisors for 3 years prior to his appointment with the state. That's Tom Potowski. Randall Pozdina he joined Econ Northwest in 1991 and specializes in quantitative economics, finance, and transportation economics. Randy uses mathematical modeling, statistical analysis, and forecast development services to inform projects in banking and securities markets, real estate economics, monetary policy, industrial organization, and litigation. Randy's authored over 50 published books and papers, and he's taught courses in economics and finance at the University of California, University of California, punctuation's important, Berkeley Graduate School of Business, and at the University of California, Irvine Graduate School of Administration. Prior to joining Econ Northwest, Randy was vice president of the Federal Reserve Bank of San Francisco. He has a PhD in economics from the University of California, Berkeley, and an AB in economics from Dartmouth. And that was Randy Pozdina. Our third panelist is Scott Keeney. He provides a local business leader's perspective. Scott is a co-founder and president of nLIGHT, a leading semiconductor laser manufacturer with facilities in Vancouver, Washington, Hillsboro, Oregon, Shanghai, China, and Lohja, Finland. Is that correct? Is that, no? Close? All right. No, I want to say it right, so tell me. Lohja, Finland. All right. Sorry for all of those that are from Lohja. I apologize. nLIGHT is funded by leading venture capitalist investors, including Oak Investment Partners, Menlo Ventures, and Moore David Dow Ventures as well. In 2012, nLIGHT was recognized as the Washington Manufacturing Company of the Year by the Seattle Business Magazine. In addition, last year, nLIGHT was named as an Oregon System Hardware Company of the Year by Tech America. In 2008, nLIGHT was awarded the Outstanding Achievement Award from the Oregon Entrepreneurs Network, and in 2006, Scott was awarded the Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year Award for Technology in the Pacific Northwest. Previously, Scott was CEO of Aculite, which was acquired by Lockheed and a consultant with McKinsey & Company. He's also the founder and chair of EnConnect, an education nonprofit focused on enhancing rigorous high school science and math programs. He's a board member of the Community Foundation of Southwest Washington and the former chair of the Southwest Washington High Tech Council. Scott holds an MBA from Harvard and a BA in economics from the University of Washington. We're a proud sponsor of this year's event and of this year's keynote speakers, and at this point we'd like to invite all of them and Betsy to the stage, please. Thank you very much.
Just have a seat. Good morning, everyone. Thanks, Kim. That was a great set of introductions. Those were long introductions. And I think it'll be great for us to start by introducing each person to you. Obviously, I'm Betsy. I'm the girl in the crowd. But these three guys may need to individually address, just introduce yourselves. You want to just go down the row here?
Okay, Tom Potowski. And that long address, we took the key here and changed the name. It's the Northwest Economic Research Center, NERC, very easy to remember. It's one letter away from nerd.
I'm Randy Pozdina. I'm the Managing Director at Econ Northwest. A real pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Scott Keeney from nLIGHT.
Perfect. So the way this is going to work this morning is each of our experts is going to spend about 10 minutes giving their perspective, first at a regional level or state level, a closer in regional level, and then Scott sort of feet on the ground, experiential level around the state of the economy and what we see moving forward. At the end of that, each of those presentations, we're going to take some questions. I already have a couple, But you have little papers at your or at your seats, and you can just write questions, and they will be collected by Gordon or others from the Columbian. Just raise your hand if you have a question. We'll get them up here, and we'll get as many of those in as we can. We have 30 to 40 minutes. You know, chances are that's 5 or 6 great questions and great answers from our experts. So make it your best shot, and let's get them up here. We're going to start, I think, with Randy, right? Did we decide to start with Randy?
Yes,
He's going to start with the state perspective.
I drew the short straw. Thank you. Thanks very much for having me. I'm going to be as quick as possible here because we have very little time. I'm going to be talking about the challenges and prospects for the Washington economy and the Southwest Washington economy more specifically. I want to, before doing that, just take one step backward and point out that national and international events are probably going to be dominant in regulating where all of us go in the near term, and let alone the long term. And I'm personally very, almost gravely concerned about the prospects of both the international and national developments over the next decade and perhaps even more. My own view on business cycles is that they're inherently self-stabilizing if you leave the economy alone. The Chancellor of Germany after the war said, "Don't stand there, close down something." And I think that's what we have to do. We have to get out of the way of the economy. The economy is strong on its own. Most business cycles and the retarded pace of recovery that we're seeing now, I believe, are the result of policy interventions. So I'm skeptical about the current situation. I'm fairly concerned. Our U.S. debt to GDP ratio now exceeds 100%. If you throw in Social Security, it's 1,000%. That's something that you can't claw back very quickly, because even if you have robust economic growth, if you're peeling off of that growth, let's say you have 3% growth, you're peeling 1 or 2% just to pay off the existing debt, there's not much left to invest in infrastructure, business activity, and so forth. So I have a lot of concerns there. Also, there have been a lot of very complex recent interventions in the housing market, in banking, in labor, and healthcare, and I just added up 45% of the U.S. economy has recently had very dramatic public policy interventions. That's a big chunk of the economy to be handing over to people who aren't actually intimately involved in the economy at a personal level. So the apparent, I'm also concerned about the apparent future policy posture. Higher rates of taxation on the productive individuals and corporations of our society, and government-directed spending. Nothing against the latter or even the former to some degree, but at the rate at which we are going, I think that's going to be retarding our recovery and our long-term prospects. Now, fortunately for those of you in Washington, you have a relatively good position to grow despite some of these uncertainties. Historically, unlike my home state of Oregon, Washington has grown in a manner that's less sensitive to the volatility, anyway, of the national economy. And it also has, you're lucky to have sort of a higher inertial growth rate than your sister